Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Episode number 395, Drink Until You Podcast, the only podcast that lasts until the last drop. How the hell is your Sunday going? How the hell was your week? Hope everybody's okay. I hope you're safe out there. I am just drinking a White Claw for this episode. So let's go ahead and have our first drink. If you got them, drink them. Bottoms up. Cheers, everybody. And I got together with some friends last night. Played some music, which I haven't done in a good little while, with a group of people. That was a lot of fun. I'm very, very rusty. Got this 9,000 DW double bass pedal, and I was just in there, before we were playing, practicing, and I was like, dude, I am so bad at this right now. It is like they say, it is like riding a bike. Once you get on, you kind of remember what you're doing, but that doesn't mean, your muscle memory is there. So I was just kind of laughing at myself, not being able to do what I wanted to do, or, not being able to stay in time with the double bass, I've never been a huge, double bass guy. It is something I want to learn. But I've never sat down, day after day after day, just working on it and refining it. And basically the strategy is to just treat your feet like your hands, for any fellow drummers I have listening out there. That's the trick, if you can do a rudiment with your hands, you should be able to do it with your feet, both ways, starting with the right foot or starting with the left foot. So I got a long way to go. I didn't completely forget how to play drums, thank God. But we were just playing things like Rotting Out, Gorilla Biscuits. We played an Angel Dust song, which I love. We played a Descendants song, which is covered by Drain. If you guys remember an episode last year, coming back from the Drain show, that was one of my favorites, that Good tour from last year. That was so fun. I'd never seen them before live. I've seen videos on YouTube or whatever, but Drain was just they changed me. You know what I mean? They were having so much fun up there doing what they do that, they just bring the atmosphere. They bring the right fun party atmosphere. We ran through a couple of songs. I think I already admitted this, but basically the idea is to, I'm done with a formal band. You know what I mean? That shit is hard. I've done that for years, being in a band with 4 or 5 other people, and, dealing with the personalities and dealing with scheduling conflicts and practice and shows and, unload, load. It's just the whole thing, which, that comes with the territory. I get it. Unless you have a drum set to play on, every show you play, you're going to have to carry your drums around. That's just part of it. That's the reason that I just don't want to play drums in a band that much anymore. It's I just want to do guitar. You know what I mean? I'll wheel in an amp, I'll bring my guitar and a chord, and that's really all I need. You know what I mean? That's easy enough. Just the drum set and the little knickknacks, and you brought the hi-hat stand, but you forgot the hi-hat cymbals. Just that whole, everything involved with drumming is just, it's not that I hate it. I've just done it for so long. I don't want to do it anymore. I refuse to do it anymore. So this is kind of the idea, is to just do holidays. You know what I mean? Cover songs on holidays. That's my level of commitment to a band. You know what I mean? We don't have to practice 3 times a week. We don't have to even make merch. You know what I mean? It's just practice the songs that you grew up on, or you just, really like, and perform those with some friends every so often. That's kind of the plan, dude. And I think it's a brilliant plan. So yeah, went over, hung out at Sid's house. James from Cashing In, guitar player from Cashing In, came over. We just had a good time, man. It was nice to play with a group of people. Me and Sid have been working on some stuff, in the meantime until we could mix James in. So we're kind of like laying the foundation. Sydney plays bass, in case you didn't know. So it's kind of a cool thing. It's something I've never done before. I've never got the rhythm section together and then mixed people in. It's always usually been like me and a guitar player, and then everybody else comes into the band. But it's really solid to get that rhythm section going. And we had a few drinks. Sydney doesn't live too far from me. As always, don't drink and drive. Treat yourself to an Uber. Treat yourself to a Lyft. I had an Uber last night. My Uber driver was very nice. 5 stars, good job. It was convenient both ways. I like the on the way there, that lady was super nice. On the way back, the guy was okay. No big deal. Got me where I needed to go. It's only like 10-minute drive. It's really nothing. But I did that because I had in mind that we're gonna get over there and have a few to drink, and while we're goofing off, having fun. Which I did. I stuck to the claw. I'm done with tequila for just, I'm going to give the tequila a little break here, mixing it with the White Claw that I've been doing, the little cocktails. Just the claw for now. The sight, when it starts to become the sight of the tequila, makes you feel a certain way. That's, maybe you should step back, just have the White Claw. That tequila can sneak up on you, But anyways, so yeah, we did the jamming thing. That was a lot of fun. Obviously, there was UFC happening last night. This was the big numbered event that I've been looking forward to. I've been tweeting about. I've been telling all my friends about, even if they don't want to hear it. Even if they're like, Chris, I've never watched MMA in my life, and that's okay. I'm going to tell you everything that I know about it so you can learn quickly and watch as well. But yeah, there's some UFC going on, man. In baseball news, I'll touch on UFC here in a little bit. In baseball news, just from a Dallas, Texas resident, Texas Rangers fan, it is not going well. To put it lightly, it is not going well for my Rangers. What have we lost 6 in a row? Blue Jays look tough too, man. Like I know they got what's the dude from the Springer? Yeah, the Springer Dinger. They got Springer back, which he was super excited to be back. You could tell he's just ready to play. But yeah, man, I mean, it seems like the Blue Jays, kind of made some moves there at the end, which, the Rangers did as well. We got some pitching, but it just hasn't fixed our bats. I don't know what to do. We already fired the hitting coach early on in the season, and it's like we're still struggling. So it's like, what is the... they're talking about it on the broadcast yesterday, and it's like this is one of Corey Seager's down years this season. He's just not, and he was injured there for a little while. I think he had something going on with his hip, but so he did miss a portion of the season. He's getting back into it now. He's been back for a little bit, but it takes time to adjust, I'm sure, and get back into the swing of things, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, so they're talking about Seager, and it's not on Seager. You know what I mean? He's the last person I'm going to point blame to. You know what I mean? He's an all-time great player. You know what I mean? He's, even if he is having a down year, it's expected. It's going to happen, especially after injury. You know what I mean? That could mess up your mechanics of your swing. The people not forgiven. And, I mean, there's still time to turn it around. And I don't dislike him completely. Jock Peterson. I've noticed he's been hanging in there a little bit better. I will 100% if you can't hit the ball, I will 100% take a walk. And I can't remember the game I watched maybe like a week ago. But yeah, I mean, his batting average is just dog shit. But just standing there and like being patient and taking a walk to first, dude, it's like, you might not have hit a grand slam, but that's a positive. That's what we need. We need our team to be doing those things collectively. And those collective things will pile up on the other team, hopefully for more victories. You're not going to win them all. We know that. But yeah, I think last I looked, we're 4.5 games back from a wild card spot. We're going to have to go on a tear, and talking with my friend at work, now is not necessarily the time to start going on your tear. This might be peaking too soon. You give it another couple of weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month, and that's your time. That's your time to start sprinting. Not to say you can just mail it in until then. You still have to play solid baseball, but all the things need to be coming together in about 3 weeks or so. That way you can hopefully A, make it to the playoffs, B, go into the playoffs hot, and just see what you can do. But yeah, right now, I mean, it's a close race, but I'm just not thrilled with how we're playing. And I know Bruce Bochy is not thrilled with how we're playing. It's not necessarily the pitching, even though, it's going to happen. We had some relievers give up some stuff in certain games and we lose the game. And it's, that's unfortunate, but it's not helping not having any run support. You know what I mean? Like, that could change the complexion. That could change the relief pitcher's comfortability on the mound if you're up by 4 runs. You know what I mean? Like, that, it just changes things. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of baseball. What else? Yeah, UFC last night. My God, what an event. Let's have another drink before I get into that. Cheers, everybody. Oh, and just a side note, I've been watching, there's this 24-hour Batman the Animated Series channel, which I've just been, other than sports, I've been absolutely glued to. And dude, this is like, just watching it even as an adult, you'll go back and watch something, maybe a movie from your childhood that you thought was just the best ever, or even, like I said, a TV show too, and you'll go back and watch it, and sometimes you just think, you're just like, what the fuck was wrong with me as a child? Like, why did I like this so much? It's so stupid now. Like, seeing it from an adult's perspective, going back and watching what you use, it just seems so stupid. Batman the Animated Series is not one of those shows. This show is so epic. Like, I'm not good. I have some talents, but the talent I absolutely just do not have, and I've never developed, no matter how much I've tried, is drawing. Like, I'm not good at drawing. You know what I mean? But if I could pick just a style, I would be thrilled and fulfilled if I could just draw this style, the animated Batman series. That style that they do, the action included. I love the angles the drawings are at, as if it were the camera. It's just watching it, it's like, I'm captivated by the story. I already love Batman, so that's really not hard. The drawings are amazing. The storyline that they wrote for this show is amazing. The voices are great. Dude, like, I didn't understand. This is what I'm trying to say, I guess. I didn't understand as a kid the level of epic show that I was watching. Like, of course, like, this was one of my favorite shows. Like, I would watch it all the time, as much as I could, and I loved it. You know what I mean? But, like, now looking back, being older and watching it, I'm just like, I'm still, like, super interested in it. You know what I mean? Like, they just created a great show, So yeah, that's been on the TV. Been watching some movies. Oh, I just watched American Made with Tom Cruise. The story about the pilot Barry Seal, who was working for the CIA. Just to kind of give you the quick rundown version. Working for the CIA, and he's basically, gathering incriminating evidence against these drug cartels. He is transporting these drugs, but that's he's kind of like the inside man. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to do those things in order to please the agents at the CIA and what they're asking him to do. Well, naturally, a part of the movie is, he is working for the CIA, but it just seems like they're not paying him shit. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of have him by the balls. He did some shit and got in trouble, and they're like, yeah, we want to use you. And basically, like, this is your way out of trouble. And so he starts doing it, and like I said, it's basically like an apprenticeship, He flies the plane, he does the jobs, and they just treat him like shit. They're making him scrub toilets and, paying him $10 an hour and, just like doing all this dangerous shit dealing with these high-level people. They didn't make him scrub toilets in the movie. I'm just creating a picture, painting a picture. But yeah, he's just like low level working with the CIA, even though he's handling all these high stress, important situations that they need help with. The CIA needs intel. And so naturally, just building a relationship with the drug dealers on the other side of the border, they start wanting him to fly things different places and, make this kind of money. I mean, like millions and millions of dollars, which is an easy sell because, like I said, on the other side of it, the CIA is not paying him shit. They think he owes them, in a way. So yeah, he starts doing extra stuff, making extra money. It's just a really good movie based on a true story. I was very entertained. I'm trying to think of a mashup movie. It's like where something meets something. I would say where Wolf of Wall Street, like the money they were making in that movie and all the extravagant things those characters were doing, being so rich. It was like Wolf of Wall Street meets, I don't fucking know. What's a movie where someone flies a plane a lot? I'm thinking Denzel Washington. I can't think of the name of that movie all of a sudden. But yeah, it was just overall, it was just a really good movie. Like, I hadn't ever heard of it. It got brought up a couple of months ago. I'm like, okay, I'm writing that. I have a whole movie list. If I haven't heard of it, or even if I have heard of it, dude, there's a lot of classic movies that I haven't watched. You know what I mean? In any genre. I mean, comedy, drama, whatever. Tons of classic movies I haven't watched. So, yeah, when people are raving about movies, usually, my friends and stuff, I'm going to put it on my list. I'm going to eventually, watch it. But, yeah, really good movie. Go check that one out. Tom Cruise was awesome. Say what you will about him as a person, but he's an awesome actor. And the fact that I was watching something on Twitter the other day where he was doing his own stunt for one of the million Mission Impossible movies. And he's like hanging on a cliff, just his hands, dude. And it's like he has a tiny cable that you can't see attached to him. That's his only safety. But other than that, this dude is like doing the things. It's insane, man. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, being a stuntman would be ridiculous, but being like such a star and just like, I mean, if he falls to his death, that's the end. You know what I mean? Like, the movie's not happening. You can't have Tom Cruise in the first half of the movie and then replace him. You know what I mean? Like, who would you even replace him with? Who looks like Tom Cruise? And who will do their own stunts? I mean, how much money does that save? But yeah, I don't know. It was a great movie. Like I said, Batman animated series, I've been all about it. Moving on to the UFC. Let me have another drink here. Cheers, everybody. Great, great event. I'm going to start from the top down. The main event. I'm going to butcher some names as I do every week. I talk about UFC. Chimaev. I'm just going to call him Chimaev because that's what it looks like to me. I know I'm not saying it right. It is Chimaev. How else would you Chimaev? The main event fight. Either way, Duplessis versus Chimaev. Shamaev? I don't know. However you say his damn name. It was okay. The fights before the main event were better. You know, the co-main event, the welterweight fight before that, those were better than the main event. And it's not to take anything away from Chimaev. Like, he 100% went in there and dominated Duplessis. Like, he just wrapped him up, grabbed him, took him down at will, stayed on top of him. Dude, he got him in the crucifix like 3 times. And I actually learned something from Duplessis watching him fight last night. I always thought if anyone got you in the crucifix, it was just over. Like, you better tap or you're getting knocked out. Like, and what plays in my mind is one of those early UFC fights, you know, when the boxer used to wear boxing gloves and boxing trunks, and the karate guy would wear a gi and, you know, nothing on his feet. I always picture that dude in the gi who got, I guess he was maybe a wrestler. He looked like a wrestling style body. He got him in the crucifix and just hammered him with elbows until the dude went limp. And so I always thought, dude, if anybody ever gets you in the crucifix, it's over. You're done. And Duplessis was in it 3 different times. And he kept doing this thing where he's like tucking his face into Chimaev and like not letting Chimaev get any clean shots off. And I was like, dude, that is so brilliant. I never, you know, now I will say if Chimaev was underneath him, like Duplessis' back of his head was resting on Chimaev's stomach, that might have been a different crucifix situation. I mean, I think that would have opened him up to take a lot more shots, elbow shots to the temple, specifically. That would end a fight. But yeah, I was impressed how he tucked his head in, how he kept himself safe as much as possible. A lot of people today just not thrilled about the main event, just for the fact, I mean, and I kind of agree too. Like, congratulations to Chimaev and being the new champ and everything. But they got to do something different for the UFC. And I don't know what. All I can think about, and let me explain the problem that I'm seeing people say online, and the problem I had with it watching it last night, is just the ground stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's great to take somebody down. It's great to dominate them. But that was literally what the fight was. Anytime Duplessis, you know, they got stood up maybe 2 times in the whole fight. Anytime they would get stood up, he would take his shots. He would try to throw big, hard shots and kick and everything. And Chimaev would just run in, take him down, hold him down, you know, try to ground and pound him. And it just kind of kills the excitement. You know what I mean? I understand that is a strategy you can implement. It's not illegal. It's totally something. But it's like, that's not really what we're looking for. And so I was thinking about it today. I was like, okay, what could they do to like help? You know, and that would be, all I could think about was every 30 seconds, like start a mental timer for the ref whenever someone gets taken down. And 30 seconds later, if there's nothing significant that has been thrown, like a lot of Chimaev's shots last night were not significant. Sure, he was hitting him while he was on the bottom, but they were just little love taps. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't anything that would knock anybody out. He's just basically scoring points. You know what I mean? Which is a smart strategy. I'm not saying it's not. And I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying for the fan looking, from the outside in, that's not what we want to see. That's the thing I love about the bare knuckle fighting is when those guys clinch up, they can get a few shots in, a shot to the gut, an uppercut to the face, whatever. They can get some shots in, but it's like the ref is soon to come in and break them up, and they're back to striking again. You know what I mean? So I was thinking maybe 30 seconds, take a mental timer, stand them up if nothing significant happened. The only issue with that is as soon as they stand up, the same thing is going to happen. Chimaev's going to have him on the ground again. So then you're going to have to give him another 30 seconds. And if nothing significant, so it's just like it kind of works against itself in a way because every time Chimaev takes him down, that's more points scored for him and less points scored for Duplessis. You know what I mean? So I don't know the solution. It definitely was not the most exciting fight I'd ever seen. The co-main event, though, my God. Those were two fucking bulls. Murphy versus Pico. Yeah, dude. Pico, I mean, you can just tell that dude is a monster. Like, he's going to get after you. He's going to throw everything he's got into his shots. He's, trained in boxing, well-established boxer. Well-established wrestler. Like, this guy is super top-tier fighter. And Murphy did he did exactly what he said he was going to do before the fight. And I call this, like falling on your own sword, kind of, is my metaphor that I call it. But it's basically like exactly what happened in this fight. Pico was going so hard at Murphy that it's like, when they talk about boxers like walking into punches, in case you don't know what that means, it's like every time you're stepping forward, your opponent's punching you. So not only is there the force of the punch itself, but there's the force of you moving your body forward into that punch. You know what I mean? And that's what I call falling on his own sword. And that's exactly what happened to Pico last night, dude. He charged in so hard to try to, hurt. And he got some good shots off on Murphy. Don't get me wrong. Before the fight was over, he got some good shots, some good body shots that did not look fun. But yeah, he's charging in so hard. Murphy does a spinning elbow. And Pico, like I said, falls on his own sword. His momentum carries him into that shot. And, dude, I mean, just lights out, bro. It was incredible. Like, they were fighting at such a high volume, like they were throwing at such a high volume. They were moving at such a fast speed. It almost happened in the blink of an eye. But, yeah, Pico walked in right to the elbow, aggressively, might I add. And, I mean, that was enough to put him out. The fight before, Neal versus Paredes, spinning back elbow, KO/TKO in that fight. So 2 fights in a row, and that kind of set up that main event that I'm talking about where he's grappling and taking him down to the ground and doing these little love tap shot. That made that fight look silly. You know what I mean? The 2 before that made that fight look silly. But yeah, Paredes comes out on top of Neal. I'm starting to see it more and more, those fight nerds. I want to be a fight nerd. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are cool as hell. Like, I know they train hard. I know they work hard. They got a good thing going. It seems like every time one of those guys that's a part of the fight nerd crew or whatever you would call them, it seems like every time they're in a fight, they usually come out on top. Like, they got something cooking over there. I'd love to be a fight nerd and start training that way. That'd be great. The fight before the Paredes-Neal fight was Michael Page, the one they call MVP, versus Cannonier, who is actually born in Dallas, Texas. That's a good Dallas, Texas boy fighting in the UFC there. I think he trained in Florida or something like that. But yeah, still born in Dallas. That was a great fight. I'm pretty sure I've seen Michael Page fight before, but maybe it was kind of in passing, or I wasn't paying attention, or I was in and out of sleep or something. But dude, if there's ever a style, and Joe Rogan kept pointing this out, if there's ever a style for me to pick, and a style for me to aspire to learn how to do, would be what Michael Page was doing. And they're essentially saying he's a points fighter, like he comes from the martial arts background of being a point fighter, which is basically like you're not going to see knockouts really. You might see some knockouts. But basically, I mean, you're just touching the opponent. You have to be faster. You have to be in and out, touch the opponent, get back so they can't touch you. And you amass an amount of points to where you're touching them, you're hitting them, kicking them more than they're getting you. You win the fight. But the thing that I didn't realize until I watched Michael Page last night was the speed it takes to do that, the knowledge of distance from your opponent it takes to do that, the power that comes with the speed when you do that. Just even his fighting stance was like badass, dude. Like hands low, kind of feet spread apart, bouncing around. Dude, he was having a blast in there, and it was so fun to watch. Michael Page was he was doing this thing because he was kind of like dancing around, you know. What's his name? Cannonier is a big, strong guy. He's just trying to push him back and pin him down to the cage so he can take some shots at him. And Michael Page just was moving like crazy, in and out, front, back, side to side, everything. And at one point, he's moving so much that he's like dribbling this invisible basketball between his legs. And then he throws a punch, and then he's dribbling this invisible basketball in between his legs, and then he throws another jab and like gets in and gets out. Dude, it was so impressive. And I was so like excited watching him do that. I was like, that is, yeah. His only downfall, it seems like, I think he only has 3 losses. His only downfall is really the ground game. You know, once Cannonier was on top of him, it was kind of at the end of the fight and too late. Michael Page had already taken the fight from him in 3 rounds. But yeah, that's his only, I would say, weakness, you know, is if they take him to the ground, he might get submitted. Or if they do the Chimaev thing and they take him to the ground the whole fight, he would probably lose that way. But the kind of badass part about it is he's not getting his ass kicked. You know, they're winning on technicality. They're outpointing him technically by taking him down. But standing on the feet, yeah, good luck, dude. Like, he is too fast. He is too smooth. Michael Page, this last drink, this one's for you. Great events. Cheers, everybody. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys for listening. And Drink Until You podcast, the only podcast that lasts until the last drop. As always, don't drink and drive. Treat yourself to an Uber. Treat yourself to a Lyft. Treat yourself to a Waymo. Get a DoorDash. Get an Uber Eats. They'll bring you the booze. You just sit in the comfort of your house. Be sure to tip those drivers, too. I can't stand those videos where the driver has to, like, come back and be like, why did you report that you didn't get your food? You know what I mean? Like, that's such bullshit, dude. I hate when people try to scam like that. But anyways, just be safe out there. Let's have our final drink. Cheers, everybody. All right. Check me out on Twitch. I'll be on at some point today. Playing some Rocket League, some Fight Night, maybe some Call of Duty. I'm feeling some Red Dead lately. I just found a map online of all these special guns you can get, so I'm definitely going to go searching for those at some point here in the near future. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I will talk to you next week. Be safe. I love you all. Bye.